ask that you just sit back, unwind, drop those shoulders, and allow me to speak to your heart, your soul, your mind, body, and spirit. Let's enjoy this ride. Hey y'all, hey, and we're back at it again. Thanks for joining me. This past weekend, I had the opportunity to attend a podcast class, and I must say, I learned some things, and I was able to meet and mingle with other like-minded people, which always is a good thing. But y'all, I did not know how some podcasts are really in depth. And so the instructors went through this process of how they, pick up different sounds to go with their podcasts and the stories that are being explained. And I was like, oh, I ain't listened to no podcast like that. And it really helped me realize how much of an artistic expression some podcasts are. Like the teacher was talking about how he actually went on a steamboat just to get the sound effects from it. And I was just like, oh, well, for me and mine's, I want my podcast to be as simple as possible, that when the divine blesses me to be able to travel worldwide and heal people in a way that only I can do it, that I will have the opportunity to keep a mic right here by my side and record my experience. But I was so intrigued by the things that people do in the background of their podcasts. I also had the opportunity to connect with someone who asked me to potentially be on their upcoming podcast. So great things happened. But once I got home and was able to take everything in, because it was a long day, it honestly was. It was an all-day affair from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m., and I had to drive like 35 minutes to and from. So it was a full day. And then later on that evening, I went to a comedy show. And listen, I have never been to a comedy show where I had to pull out my phone. I ain't lying, y'all. I straight up had to pull out my phone and start watching the NBA playoffs. It's not that I had to, but I wasn't entertained by the opening acts. I was like, well, forget this. I'm going to watch the game. I'm a huge NBA fan, but they were that bad. They were that bad. I know I sidetracked it from the podcast class. I'm going to get back to it, but I had to talk about this comedy real quick. They were that bad that I had to, pull out my phone. And the comedian kept on saying like, y'all, this is my only third time live. And I'm like, well, you still need to work on your craft, honey. And it was like, y'all be with me, y'all bear with me. And it was just bad. It was bad. And honestly, even the main event, child, I looked over and I was like, you ready to go? I'm ready to go. Let's go. And walked out on them, and it was no shade, but it was just not funny. It wasn't funny at all. And then come to find out, I watch a comedy special. I ain't saying no names because you never know who you can connect with, but I saw a comedy special on Netflix, and I was like, where's the funny? Where is the funny? I need comedians, which I think is one of the hardest jobs there is. Being a comedian as well as being a scheduler are jobs that I'm like, I don't want no parts of it. Do y'all understand how hard it is to manage people and their schedules on a routine basis? I used to feel so sorry for the scheduler when I worked at a nursing home, because she had so many moving parts to deal with. And now the fact that they be like, you can't, you didn't receive approval for that request off. What? Child, that's when I knew that I wasn't meant to live up under nobody. To work up under nobody. Because I was like, yeah, you're not going to tell me when or where I could use my vacation time. Let me give y'all a story. Y'all know I always got a story. So it was a given every summer that my nana would come and visit, right? So at the time, there was an exhibit of the Noah's Ark close to the Cincinnati area, and we were going to take her. Like, we was like, okay, we're gonna make it a whole day thing, and go see this Noah's Ark. So I had put in a request for my day off, and they were like, oh, well, sorry, you're not approved, so we'll see you. And I was like, oh, no, 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 no. I won't be here. So do you want me to request off now, or do you want me to request off on that day? Which one is going to be? Because I'm telling you right now, I'm not showing up. That just kills me that jobs really be feeling like they could tell you what to do with your life. No, ma'am. Not I. Okay. Back to the podcast class. Y'all stay with me. I had a great time, and again was able to connect with some dope people. And it was so funny. At one time, somebody was giving me a interview, and they end up playing it in front of the class. And I had talked about when I was a teenager that I was a candy striper. And the girl next to me was like, what's that? What's a candy striper? I've never heard of that term. And I just started cracking up. I was like, oh my goodness, I'm really showing my age. And I was like, you've never heard of candy striper? She's like, no. So I explained, like, well, it's basically a volunteer. And I was like, it's just a terminology that they use because of their uniform. So I pulled up a picture of the candy stripers, uniforms back in the day in the 60s and stuff. And she's like, oh, I get it. So then the guy that interviewed me, he was like, yeah, when you said it, I didn't know what it was either. And I was like, oh my goodness, y'all are babies. How old are you? And the young lady was like 21. I was like, oh, bless you, child. I said, oh, you're such a baby. And the young man, I think he said 27, 28, but neither one of them heard of the term candy striper. Ugh. Talk about aging me. That's okay. I'm going to embrace these 40s. I don't care what nobody say. I'm embracing these 40s and living out my best life there is. But all in all, it was a great experience. I'm very, very thankful for the opportunity to learn some more about the craft of podcasting. But once I got home, I really had an aha moment of, you've been doing this yourself without any direction but from the divine. The divine has truly orchestrated each and everything that I've done, and I learned it on my own, which is a lot of the stuff that I do. So that's why I always encourage you all to take the time to go within, ask the questions you want answers to, and it will be revealed to you in time. It might take some time, but it always comes together. All right. So if you did not notice, we had a new moon this week on Tuesday, May 7th at 11:22 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You know how I am about the numbers, 11 and 22, those master numbers. And it's just showing that things are going in order, just from my point of view. But just a quick little snippet about this Taurus new moon. I believe this will be a great time. New moons are great for setting intentions of the things you want to come into your life. And it's always sometimes best to write intentions that are themed with the zodiac sign that the moon is falling in. I hope that made sense. But with this being a new moon in the sign of Taurus, Taurus is an earth sign. It's solid, and Taurus is all about luxuriating and things, but they mean business. Okay. So this would be a great time to set intentions related to money, your finances, your material comforts, and possessions that you desire, setting intentions related to that, as well as sensual pleasure. So that's setting intentions related to your sensuality. Maybe you want to set intentions about physical comfort. I'm setting the intention that I will start receiving massages on a monthly basis, something like that, setting the intentions, but also setting intentions related to contentment and perseverance, meaning having more appreciation and gratitude for things in your life. You also may want to set intentions related to patience as well as self-worth. And with that sign of Taurus, you want to release all stubbornness. Okay. So having more self-worth and releasing any inflexibility. And that relates to the resistance of change. So set the intention that you are going with the flow with ease and grace, no matter what it may be. But with your intentions of self-worth, have that self-acceptance for yourself, being aware of your personal needs. So yeah, those are some intentions that you might want to set with this new moon. Now, I always tell you about my girl, Alex.Miles. She posted a prayer that I was like, oh, that's it. So I'm going to share it with you guys. You ready? All right. Let's take a deep breath in. Exhale out. Close your eyes. And here we go. On this Taurus new moon, I welcome new energy and set my sights on bigger goals, leaving behind any past regrets or pain. With sharpened focus and prioritization, I have faith that I can rapidly bring my dreams and desires into reality. I am ready for revelations and transformative upgrades, gaining clarity, closure, and breakthroughs along the way. As my self-belief grows, I gain peace of mind and nurture healthier love, deepening connections and affirming my magnetic pull towards abundance and unconditional love. Opportunities and financial freedom flow effortlessly to me as I raise my vibration and a new timeline emerges, expanding my potential and creating a beautiful chapter filled with amazing news and meaningful encounters. Everything is falling into place perfectly. I am grateful for all that is coming my way, knowing that infinite love and divine blessings await. Let's take another deep breath in. Exhale it out. And so it is. Yes. Take all that in. All right. So last time we talked, we discussed receiving a little hello from a loved one who passed away. I feel like to piggyback on that subject, why not discuss the process of grieving and the different cycles/stages that we go through at times with grieving the loss of a loved one. Now, we all know that grief is not linear, that we all deal with different circumstances in life in different kind of ways, whatever suits us personally. But there was a psychiatrist and a pioneer in near-death studies who came up with the 5 stages of grief all the way back in good old 1969. But her name is Elizabeth Kubler-Ross, and her book was On Death and Dying. And I was very familiar with this subject because I was a hospice nurse for a decade. So I was able to, help people along the way of seeing their loved one pass away. But even though I knew what the textbooks say and the processes of how to go with the revelation of a loved one no longer being here in the earthly realm, it was still difficult for me to process whenever I lost loved ones. Now, recently, I've lost 3 of my elders within the last 3 years, and it's been challenging. But again, like I told you guys in the previous episode, I know that I got a little extra help along the way. And listen, lately, I really feel like they've been showing up for you, girl. And hopefully in due time, I can share with you guys how my spirit team has been hooking your girl up. But anyway, let's get into these stages of the grieving process that one may go through. Again, it's not linear, but here we go. So first, you might have to deal with the denial That's usually the first stage. So it's like the initial shock of the loss. Like, wait a minute, such and such is no longer here. What happened? Or be like, nah, this can't be true. No singing this week, but that was a quick reference of an intro of the song In My Bed by Drew Hill, which was released in 1996. Now I know y'all miss my singing, but that's all right. Back to the pod. Whew. Don't I know? Okay, y'all know I'm going to have to inject my little stories here and there. So for me personally, this denial, even though I did not know this man personally, I was still in denial when I got the news. So my favorite basketball player is Mr. Kobe Bean Bryant. I've been blessed enough to witness him several different times in several different atmospheres of him doing his craft. And yeah. So on the day he passed away, I'll never forget. I had a event that I was going to speak at related to meditation. So I was getting ready and everything. And all of a sudden I received a phone call from my brother. And it was a Sunday. So I was like, well, he know I got things to do. What he wants? So I answered and I was like, what's up? And he like, did you hear? And I'm like, what you talking about? He was like, Twitter, because I ain't on Twitter, or formerly known as Twitter, now known as X. Anyway, he's like, on Twitter, they talking about Kobe passed away in a helicopter accident. And I was just like, oh, it's Twitter, whatever. I was about to go do this event. I'll check into it later. I whatever. It's probably just Twitter gossip. Moving on. Because Kobe being dead, nah, never. So anyway, I'm like, not true. It's not true. Kept on driving. When I say my phone was blowing up on my way, all I had to do was drive downtown. So it was only like 10, 15 minutes. My phone kept ringing. And I was like, nope, it's not true. I'm not answering it. Nope. I love my friends. They just let me know it's a rumor or whatever, making sure that I know, I'm not receiving it. I get to the event and soon I walk in. They like, let's do a moment of silence for Kobe, who passed away, and his family members and those who were also in the helicopter. And I was just like, whoa. Then it hit me. But I had a job to do. And won't you know, I promise you, Spirit will just give you tests when you least expect it. So the test that I had to speak about grounding. Grounding. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to put the tools that I learned into practice because I want to bawl out, cry, and scream. But I can't right now because I'm amongst all these people. So I was able to, push through and stay grounded and be professional and do what I need to do. But honey, when I left, the next stage came, which is anger. Now, what happened? Who was flying the helicopter? Did they check the weather? Did they see what was going on? What's the tea? Anyway, so first you got denial, which is kind of like the initial shock. And that is a common defense mechanism because it numbs our emotions and allows us to truly like survive that loss. Now, even though I'm talking about a celebrity, still this is related to people that in your life that might have passed away. It's the initial shock of hearing the news that somebody passed away. So then from the shock, you have the anger that might come, which is the second stage. And that's kind of when the denial starts to wear off and you actually like have that pain reemerge. And it's an intense, emotion. And that anger at times can be directed towards objects, strangers, friends, loved ones, family, that anger may be directed even to our loved one who has passed away or is in the midst of dying. In our rational mind, we know that the person that is dying or is deceased can't be blamed. It's just a process of life. But emotionally, we may resent them for the cause of hurt and pain that we're experiencing at the time, even the pain of them leaving us. But anger is normal. So we go through the denial, we go through the anger, and then we go through the bargaining. And with this stage, the bargaining comes with, oh my goodness, but what if I was able to do something? Or if only I was there. So people may begin to like bargain with a higher power, and even like promise change. Like, I promise if this person comes back, if they get healthier, I'm going to do this, 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 and this. And it's kind of like an exchange of your behavior for the relief of the pain and the grief that you're experiencing related to this loved one. I hope that makes sense. Okay. And then the next stage would be depression. Now, this should not be confused with clinical depression. This is just, the depression associated with sadness and, regret. And a lot of times this stage could be a little less dramatic. It could be quieter. You're just more to yourself. But it's like a feeling of emptiness or despair. Like a piece of your heart is gone. So going through a period of sadness and depression with the loss of a loved one is normal. And then lastly, you might begin to accept the loss. And this comes with possible withdrawal or even being calm. It's really beginning to accept the reality of the loss that one has experienced and learning to be okay with it and how to move forward and live with it. So those are the Kubler-Ross stages of death and dying. And believe it or not, these stages have even been adopted with the Kubler-Ross change curve that a lot of corporations use to train their employees when it comes to change and loss within the company and their personal life. So, these are things that I learned in nursing school. I even remember doing the acronym of DABDA, D-A-B-D-A. Like, all right, first you're going to go through the denial, then the anger, bargaining, then depression, and then acceptance. So I was like, DABDA, just to, keep it in my mind of the process that people may go through with a loved one being deceased or in the midst of passing away. It can be challenging, but okay, we strong. We can get through it. All right. So now we're going to have a segment of Ask Harretta. And this person wrote in and asked the following question, or plural, questions. I'm going to try my best to answer them. All right, here we go. I discovered my 25-year-old niece dead a few years ago. She died peacefully in her sleep, but I often wonder, why me? Did she know? Does she visit me? Is she proud of us? And I was like, woo, that's a loaded question. And I asked Spirit to help me provide answers to this person. So hopefully this will provide you with some comfort. So to answer your first question, why did you find her? And what I received is that you heard the whisper of your intuition to check on her in the first place. You were the only one who would have been able to handle the initial shock/pain of finding her deceased. Nobody else would have been able to deal with it the way you did. Secondly, you asked, did she know? And what I received is, no, she did not necessarily know, but her soul knew. It was a part of her soul's contract to unfortunately pass away at that age, at that location, at that time. Your next question is, does she visit you? Yes, she does. And a confirmation that I received is that there's certain words or catchy phrases heard that reminds you of her. Like, you know what? Such and such would have said that. So little things like that, that's indications that she is close by. But little words or catchy phrases that just come out of nowhere, it's her. Send a little hello. And lastly, you asked, is she proud of y'all? Yes, girl, she proud. She's often close by with every celebration, and she knows that you are insistent on keeping her legacy alive, and she appreciates it. So those are the messages that I received related to the loss of your loved one. So I want to leave you guys with this quote from Elizabeth Kubler-Ross. It's only when we truly know and understand that we have a limited time on earth and that we have no way of knowing when our time is up, we will then begin to live each day to the fullest as if it was the only one we had. And on that note, I'm out, y'all. Until next time. All right. Peace.